Guys, we're exiting the Museum of Modern Art, or maybe Contemporary Art, here in Sydney. And one of the things I've been trying to figure out is what is the history of Australia, and what were penal colonies, and why did England send people all the way to Australia, and what was the experience of the convicts like, and what crimes did they commit, and while they were in the penal colony, what did they do? Was it a jail? Was it a prison? Was it a place where you were just in a cell all day long and that was it? Or was there more to the story? And what I just got from some man who worked there, he gave me great information. He said some of the convicts would have been accused of stealing a button or stealing a loaf of bread or some very minor, low-level law-breaking things. He told me that the reason why they established penal colonies and why they sent people all the way, halfway around the world to Australia from England, rather than just keep them in the country, was that they could get those people out of their country, but also that they could use them for free labor. And so he was telling me that these, I guess, convicts were just used as workhorses. So they get sent all the way to Australia for, say, stealing a loaf of bread, and then they're placed into these communities called penal colonies, where they had to work. So they'd be in, I'm guessing, like some type of like lock-up facility, or at least lock-up building at night, and then during the day they were sent out into the community at large, and they were used to work on a project, say build a building or some type of public work thing, and their labor wasn't paid for. It was free. So they were essentially like an indentured servant in Australia. So what a life. I mean, right? For just stealing a loaf of bread, you get sent away to a country you've never been to before, and then you work for free for God knows how long, maybe a few years, maybe longer. And that becomes part of your life story. I stole a loaf of bread, I got convicted of a crime, a bread crime, and then I got shipped off to this landmass called Australia, where they made me do labor, creating buildings, and sleeping in a jail-style building at night. I mean, what a history, right? When you think about that mentality of the Brits, just totally ruthless. Ugh. And so I'd been researching some of this and the history of it, as I'm so fascinated and interested by it. And the literature I was reading was saying something about how Brisbane had a penal colony, and then at some point the numbers started to dwindle down. And I asked the guy at the museum, why is that? Why did the numbers dwindle? Why didn't the process just continue? And he said the social appetite changed in England, and that social conscience came into play, and people started to voice their disagreement with this process, this penal colony process, and this process of shipping people off away from England to Australia to work for free. And so that, I guess, social push created a reduction in this penal system. So much so that at some point, you know, the colonies' numbers started to dwindle. Fewer and fewer convicts were being sent there, and then at some point you had settlement. Australia was opened up for settlement. So it's just a brief history of England and Australia. What happened here? What a history, what a ride.